So, good evening, everyone. Shailaja, are there exams? Something I was reading about admit card, something. Are there these children are also attending? Will be taking the exam?
Pearly will be taking up, ma'am.
Okay, not the others, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
not that. Others are in, two of them are joining degree, two of them are in school.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, last week, children, I think we have done with climate, where I showed you the video and also explained about the mechanism of monsoon and mainly El Nino and La Nina. These are the two words I have explained last time, where I said that these two will be affecting the monsoon in our country. Okay. Along with the monsoon, the next factor we talk about is the natural vegetation and the wildlife in a particular country, which is directly related to the climatic conditions and the rainfall also. Can we continue from here? I think a little bit introduction I gave about natural vegetation. What is a natural vegetation? Is it which is not interfered by man, but which grows by itself naturally without any human interference, and which is left undisturbed for a longer period of time, is referred to as the virgin vegetation. First of all, what is natural vegetation? The definition is that which grows naturally without any human interference. And suppose if it is left undisturbed for a longer period of time, then it is called as the virgin vegetation. Okay, before going into the various types of vegetation that exists in our country, already I gave you the introduction about the biodiversity, why India is called as one of the mega biodiversity countries of the world. It is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world. These are all statistical data which you should know actually. It is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world because it has about 47,000 plant species, which occupies 10th place in the world and 4th place in Asia as far as plant diversity is concerned. So remember the numbers: 10th place in the world and 4th place in Asia as far as plant diversity is concerned. Coming to the flowering plants, we also have a wide variety of flowering plants, and last time I was also explaining about the medicinal plants that are available in our country, and that is the reason why Ayurveda also was a very popular medical or one of the important traits that existed in our country, and even till today also Ayurveda plays a very important role, which is considered to be having medicine for most of the diseases that occur. And if it is really pursued properly, that means Ayurveda is mainly dependent upon the plants. That means the person who treats or who wants to treat a person should be able to detect the correct plant which is suitable for him. So that is one thing we talk about. And apart from that, we also have a wide variety of species of fish and many other things are also there. I hope till here it is clear, no? Virgin vegetation and natural vegetation. Yes? Yes? If you say yes, then I can continue, children.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, next. So now the next important topic we talk about is that why are forests very important for human beings, or what is the role played by forests in a country? To be very frank, why do we depend upon forests? Why should a country should have forests? The question is that. That is, they are renewable resources and they play a very important role in the enhancing of the environment. That means if forests are there, it leads to cleaner air as well as renewable resources, and they also cause the rainfall also, and they try to balance the environment or bring about the ecological balance also. That is the reason why we call it as quality of environment. That is the reason why we say that plant number of trees. If you plant number of trees, the quality of air will improve. That is the first question. Second one is that it will modify the local climate. I'm telling you, it will have an effect. That is, why are we facing so much of heat, or why are we experiencing very higher temperatures nowadays? Is it because almost all the cities have become concrete jungles? Why are we calling them as concrete jungles? Is it there are hardly any trees? So if the trees are not there, they will not modify the local climate. The heat will increase. That is first point. They also try to control soil erosion. This you will learn in your science classes. In biology, you learn that the roots will be holding the topmost layer of the soil, which is very important for the cultivation or for the growth of the plants. That is one point. Then it also supports a variety of industries because there are so many things that are produced, like rubber is one. Then we also have teak, we also have sandalwood. There are so many trees which are directly dependent or which are raw materials for the industries also. And they also provide a livelihood for many communities. When I'm saying communities, to whom am I referring here? When I'm saying communities, livelihood for communities, which communities I'm talking about? Come on, children. Which communities I'm talking about when I'm saying that the forests provide livelihood for many communities means which communities depend upon the forest?
Tribes.
Very good. The tribal communities. The tribal communities usually live in the forest. They also depend on the forest also for the various forest products. Actually, the entire livelihood is dependent upon the forest. If forests are cut down, that means you are literally putting the tribals out of their place also. So these are all certain things. Apart from that, they also provide a lot of scenic beauties. For example, if you visit the hill stations or if you go to any of these areas like the Himalayas and other things, you feel that freshness, that recreation is also there. The forest will provide all these things for us. That means they try to maintain all these factors which are very important for the human beings to survive on this planet Earth as such. Then it also provides shelter to the wildlife. Now we hear that there are certain species which have become extinct or which are on the verge of extinction. Now, or they are also called as vulnerable species also. Now we talk about two categories. One is called as a vulnerable species. The other one is called as the extinct species. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between a vulnerable and extinct? What is the main difference between these two words? When I say vulnerable and when I say extinct species, what is the difference between the two words?
Vulnerable is the species which are about to be extinct, I guess, ma'am.
Yes, good. About to become extinct, or the number is becoming less. The number is becoming less. And what about extinct?
Extinct are the species which are already like
Not there on the earth. You cannot see them
already
anywhere.
gone.
You cannot see them anywhere. Very good, Pali. So vulnerable means the number is coming down. Extinct means you cannot see them. Now they have become history only. That means you say that that particular bird or that particular mammal or that particular reptile or that particular wild animal existed once upon a time, but now it is not there. You call it as the Asiatic cheetah. The Asiatic cheetah is one of the fastest animal running found on the earth, but today it is an extinct species. Like that, there are so many plants, there are so many animals which are becoming extinct because we are cutting down the forest as such. Okay, now why are the forests coming down? Why there is a lot of deforestation taking place in the country, in our country in general I'm talking about, and also in the entire world also there is a lot of deforestation. Forests are being cut down. Why it is happening? Why is it happening? The reason is the demand for the cultivated land. As the population is increasing, you need more and more agricultural land. In order to have more and more agricultural land and to increase your food production, we are occupying the forest, by which we are cutting down the forest. According to the Forest Policy Resolution of 1952 of India, 33% of the land, of the geographical land, should be under the forest. Remember this number. Okay, it is a forest policy of our country that 33% of the geographical area should be under the forest. If you have 33% of your total area, I'm not talking the entire India. For example, if you take one particular state, what is the total area of that particular state? Out of the total area, 33% of the land should be under the forest. That is what helps in the ecological balance. But unfortunately, in our country, only 20% of the land is under the forest. That means we are falling short almost by 13%. 13% of land is not there for us. Only 20% of the land is coming under the forest. So, what are the reasons we give? Why deforestation is taking place is that because of the greediness of the people. One is that demand for more cultivated land, greediness of the greediness of the human beings in order to have access to the forest as such. So except for certain areas like the inaccessible regions like the Himalayas, then you have the hilly regions of the central India and the Marusthali. These are the only areas where you find natural forests and natural vegetation cover is existing. Why? Because these are inaccessible areas where man cannot go and do anything over there. That is the reason why only the scenic beauty is found only in these particular areas only. So these are the points you give when you say why forests are important. Am I clear? Can I go to the next topic? Yeah. Next topic is ecosystem. What do you mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem is that plant community will exist in certain areas having similar climatic conditions. That means, like we discussed in agriculture, so there are certain crops which are grown in certain areas. Like for example, apples can be grown only in Jammu and Kashmir or in Himachal Pradesh or in Simla or wherever it is. You cannot grow them in Andhra Pradesh or in Telangana because you require that particular climatic conditions. Tea is grown largely in Assam and in West Bengal, but not in other areas. Why it is not grown? Because of the climatic conditions that is required. So like that, the plant communities will exist in certain areas which have certain similar climatic conditions as such. So the nature of the vegetation or the plants in an area and also the animals, that means the larger the vegetation cover, you also find a variety of wildlife existing over there. So the type of the forest will determine the type of the wildlife that exists in that particular forest also. So when you cut down the forest, the animal life is also disturbed. That is the reason why today we find that the tigers, the lions, or the monkeys, they are all coming into the animal, into the human habitations. Why? Because we are destroying their habitat. Their habitat is forest. When you are destroying the forest, naturally they are coming to the human habitats. Today we are hearing that the lions, the tigers, the elephants, there are so many animals that are entering into the human habitation. Why are they entering? Because we are destroying their original or natural habitat as such. So all these, that means all the plants and animals in an area are interrelated and interdependent to each other according to the physical environment. So the vegetation, wildlife, these two go together. Once you destroy the wildlife, that means you are destroying, so once you destroy the forest, that means you're automatically destroying the wildlife of that particular area also. So there is a necessity for us to conserve the natural vegetation so that we can conserve the plant life, we can also conserve the wildlife also. And one more important thing is that even we are also part of this ecosystem. Without animals and without the plants, even human beings also cannot survive. For example, if you take, you require certain type of birds for the what do you call it as insects. Certain things are required for the crops also. So if you don't have the animal life, it is a difficult thing for us also. So humans are also a part of the ecosystem. So everything should be balanced. If it is to be balanced, then we have to have a proper forest. Why do we talk about global warming today? Why do we talk about deforestation? Why do we talk about greenhouse effects? All these are nothing but because of the deforestation, because humans are adopting wrong practices and wrong methods by which we are disturbing the entire ecological system. If you are disturbing the ecosystem, That means everything will undergo a change. Am I clear till this one? Yes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, one more topic, one more word definition I want to give you. What is a biome? Have you heard in science this particular definition? What is a biome? B-I-O-M-E. What is a biome? Means a very large ecosystem on land having distinct types of vegetation and animal life. Remember, again, I'll repeat. What is a biome? B-I-O-M-E. Biome means a very large ecosystem on land having distinct types of natural vegetation. That means having different kinds of trees and variety of animal life is referred to as a biomes. The biomes are always identified on the basis of the plants that are existing in one particular forest as such. Am I clear with biome? Large ecosystem having distinct types of vegetation and animal life is called as a biome. Clear? Now, coming to the next topic is what are the different types of vegetation? Now, when we are talking about vegetation, we are talking about the different types of forests. Can anyone give me the list of the forests that we have?
A mangrove, Mediterranean,
Yeah. We have mangrove
Evergreen.
forest. Very good.
deciduous,
Evergreen forest, deciduous forest. Very good. Thorn forest, scrubs. Then you also have the mangrove forest. You also have the montane forest. These are all the different types of forests you have. Now, when we are reading about these forests, what are the important points you will learn? One is that what is the temperature, what is the rainfall, what are the different types of plants that are found over there, and animals. 4 to 5 points for each and every forest you have to learn. Okay, if you quickly can note down, I will just give you how you will learn that. Do you have your books with you, children? Quickly, I can tell you the points so that you can remember.
yes,
Yeah. So first we will take tropical evergreen forest. First one. That means there are what are the different types of vegetation when I say we have tropical evergreen forest, tropical deciduous forest, tropical thorn forests and scrubs, montane forests and mangrove forests. So first we will take the tropical evergreen forest. Where do you find the tropical evergreen forest? Any idea? Anyone can tell me where do you find the tropical evergreen forest? Which areas? That means where can you find tropical evergreen forests? That means in areas where there is heavy rainfall.
heavy rainfall and ma'am, fertile land.
Yeah. First thing is that they are found especially where there is very heavy rainfall. Okay. That means in our country, where do you find the tropical evergreen forests? That is Western Ghats, Lakshadweep. Are you noting down? They are found in areas where there is heavy rainfall. That is the first point you will note down. Second one is that they are found in Western Ghats, Lakshadweep, 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 Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Assam, and Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu coast, you call it as. These are the areas where you can find the tropical evergreen forests. Okay, that means heavy rainfall means how much it is more than 200 centimeters of rainfall. More than 200 centimeters of rainfall is required with a very short dry season. That means the dry season should be very less. That means almost year round they should be able to receive the rainfall of more than 200 centimeters. Okay, what is the height at which these trees are found is that they grow up to a height of 60 meters and above. Their height is 60 meters and above. Okay, luxuriant vegetation of all kinds because of wet season and less of dry season. It is a luxuriant. That means you find that greenery everywhere. Luxuriant means greenery. Everywhere you find greenery. That's why they're called as the evergreen forest also. Okay, and they appear green all throughout the year. That's why they're called as the evergreen forest also. What are the important trees that are found here? That means they're commercially important trees are found here like ebony, mahogany, rosewood, rubber, and cinchona. Okay, I'll repeat again. Important trees are ebony, EBONY, mahogany, MAHOGANY, rosewood, rubber, and cinchona. All these are commercially valuable trees with which the furniture is made. Rosewood especially is very costlier wood which is used in the houses to make the furniture. Okay, this is as far as trees are concerned. Then what about the wildlife? What type of animals are found here? That means elephants, monkey, lemur, deer, one-horned rhinoceros. You have elephants, monkeys, lemurs, and deers, and also one-horned rhinoceros is also found in the jungles of Assam and West Bengal. Apart from this, you also have birds, bats, sloth, scorpions, all these are also found. But mainly you will remember the trees and the most important wildlife that is found here. So, heavy rainfall, Western Ghats, that means you should be able to locate the places. Usually they give is a combination of options they give you. So you should know which are the states. So Western Ghats, Lakshadweep, okay. Western Ghats, Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Assam, Tamil Nadu. These are the states where you find tropical evergreen forest, 200 centimeters of rainfall. They appear green throughout the year because of less dry season and more of wet season. Okay. Important trees are ebony, mahogany, rosewood, cinchona. Okay, rubber also. And important animals are mainly elephants, monkeys, lemur, and one-horned rhinoceros. If they ask you specifically what is a specific animal that is found, because elephants, monkeys, all these are common animals. What is a specific animal that you found means it is one-horned rhinoceros, which is found in Assam and West Bengal. Yes, is it clear with tropical evergreen forest? Next, tropical deciduous forest. Now, tropical deciduous forests are again divided into moist deciduous forests and dry deciduous forests. So, first you will write tropical deciduous forests. Deciduous spelling DECIDUOUS. Tropical deciduous forests. These are the most widespread forests of India. Okay, and these are also called as the monsoon forest. One more word or one more name for tropical deciduous forest is they're also called as a monsoon forest. So remember this, widespread, they're also called as monsoon forest. Whatever the rainfall here, they receive a rainfall between 200 to 70. There in tropical evergreen it is about 200. Here it is ranging from 200. That means 70 to 200 centimeters of rainfall. Okay, they shed their leaves. In the tropical evergreen forest, hardly they shed the leaves, but here they will be shedding their leaves for about 6 to 8 weeks in the dry summer. So they will shed their leaves. That is the most important feature of the tropical deciduous forest. So 70 to 200 centimeters of rainfall, called as monsoon forest. They shed their leaves for 6 to 8 weeks also. Okay, then they are divided into moist deciduous and dry deciduous forests. So first we will take the moist deciduous forests are found in areas where the rainfall is between 200 and 100 centimeters. This division you have to write. Moist deciduous forests are found where the rainfall is between 200 to 100 centimeters. Clear? Then where are they found? Mostly they are found in the foothills of Himalayas, Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh. I'll repeat again. They are found in the northeastern states. Northeastern states are all your 7 sisters: Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Assam, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh. All these are called as the northeastern states. So tropical moist deciduous forests are found in the northeastern states, then foothills of Himalayas, Jharkhand, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh. Okay, what is the most important trees that are found here is teak. Teak is the most dominant species of this forest. You all must be knowing about the teak. Most of the doors, the front doors are usually made of teak wood only, because teak is considered to be a very strongest wood which continues for over 100 years or so, the furniture doesn't get spoiled at all. Okay, you must have seen the teak doors and all that. Yes, students. Yeah, so teak is the most dominant species. Apart from that, you also have bamboos, sal, sesame, sandalwood, care, then mulberry. These are all other commercially important species that are found in the tropical moist deciduous forest. So few things you can remember. Teak is the most dominant one. Apart from that, bamboos are also found here. Salwood, sesame, sandalwood, then you have mulberry. These are all the other important trees that are found in the tropical moist deciduous forest. Then next one, what is the next one? Next division of deciduous forest is, yes ma'am. What is the next division? I said tropical deciduous forests are divided to moist and
Right.
dry deciduous forests. Yeah. So dry deciduous forests are found in areas where the rainfall is ranging between 100 to 70 centimeters. Moist is 200 to 100. Dry deciduous is 100 to 70 centimeters as such. So where are they found? In which states of India do you find the dry deciduous forest? Is in the rainier parts of Deccan Plateau, wherever, because in Deccan Plateau, some regions get heavy rainfall, some regions get very less rainfall. So wherever there are heavy rainfall, you will find these in the peninsular plateau of India and also in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. So only three places you find this peninsular plateau. Rainier parts of the peninsular plateau, then you have the plains of Bihar and the Uttar Pradesh. Then, what are the important trees? Same, almost similar. Teak, the name of the plant species and ask you to recognize where these particular trees are found. So you should be able to know which trees are grown where. So teak is a common thing in both the moist deciduous forest as well as in the dry deciduous forest. Sal is also a common thing over there. But what are the new trees that are found in dry deciduous forests are mainly people and the neem tree. These are the extra things. So that is how you have to prepare. So what are the common plants, common trees here is moist deciduous and dry deciduous is teak and sal are common. Whereas in dry deciduous forest, you will find people and neem trees are grown here. Okay. Then what are the important animals that are found in dry deciduous in the deciduous forests are lion, tiger, pig, deer, elephant. These are the important animals that are found here. I'll repeat once again: lion, tiger, pig, deer, and elephant. These are all the important animals that are found in the deciduous forest. Am I clear with the two? Tropical evergreen and tropical deciduous forest? Clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is the thorn forest and the scrubs. The third feature we talk about is thorn forest. Thorn forest, you can understand that wherever the rainfall is very less. That means if the rainfall is less than 70 centimeters, you will find thorn forest as such. So it will be consisting of thorny trees and bushes, where you can talk about your cactus. Cactus, you must have seen cactus. It's a thick one having all thorns all around. Cactus, you must have seen, everyone. Isn't it? You have an idea? Okay. So this particular natural vegetation will be consisting of thorny trees and bushes. And it is mostly found in the northwestern part of the country. Can anyone tell me what is the northwestern part of India? What are the states that come under that?
Rajasthan.
Very good. Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana. Remember this way: Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab. Punjab, Haryana. These are all called as the northwestern part. So children, when you are learning geography, always remember this way: which is west, which is east, which is south, which is north, which is central. states you should know very clearly. So when I say northwestern, immediately you should remember that it is Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana. When I say north, I mean to say that it is Jammu and Kashmir. Then I'm talking about Himachal Pradesh. I'm talking about Delhi. Okay, Uttar Pradesh also comes under that, which is a central part. When I say it is Madhya Pradesh, it is Maharashtra. These are the states. When I say northeastern India, I'm talking about the seven sisters. Remember the seven sisters. All the seven states of northeastern India. That is called as a northeastern India. Okay. When I'm talking about the southeast, what is southeast? Which are the states that can be included under that? Is Assam. You call it as West Bengal. West Bengal is southeast. We call it as southeastern states. We call it as southern states. You all know that. That is how you have to remember. Then when you remember the states that way, then the geography becomes very easy. This is most important in geography. You should know which state is located in which part. First of all, you should know the directions. North, south, east, west. When I say northwest, when I say northeast, when I'm saying southeast, when I'm saying southernmost tip of the country, which is the southernmost tip of the country. Which one is called as the southernmost tip of the country? These are all the things.
Kanyakumari.
Very good. Kanyakumari. Once upon a time, the southernmost point was called as the Indira Point, but the Indira Point was washed away during the time of the tsunami. This also can be asked. When a tsunami struck in 2006, for example, Indira Point was completely vanished. Otherwise, Indira Point was considered to be the southernmost part of the country. Like this, you have to remember your geography properly. Okay, and when we are talking about the Indian Standard Time, which one do we take? Which latitude from where to where it passes? It passes from the Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. That is taken as a standard meridian of India. That is considered to be the IST of the country. Why? Because first of all, where did the sun rise? The sun rises in Arunachal Pradesh, which is the easternmost part of the country. Then, if you take this and you take Dwarka in Gujarat, two extreme points. If you take, for example, Dwarka represents the northwestern part. The westernmost point is Dwarka in Gujarat. Then you have Arunachal Pradesh. These two are extremes. There is a time gap of 4 hours. That means after the sun rises in Arunachal Pradesh, after 4 hours the sun rises in Dwarka and Gujarat. Like that, if you take, there are 29 states and so many union territories are there. There is a gap of 2 hours, 3 hours for every sunrise in every state. So how do you determine the standard time? For example, if I want to move from Telangana to Delhi, for example, which time do I follow? That is the reason why we have something called as a standard meridian of the country, which is taken at Mirzapur. That is considered the standard meridian of the country. These are all the geographic concepts which you should know very clearly. That means, first of all, you should know about India so well. Okay, when you know about the difference between Indian Standard Time and the Greenwich Mean Time. What is the difference, children? How do we travel when we are going abroad? How do we take the timing? We always follow the Greenwich Mean Time, correct? GMT and IST. What is the difference between these two times? Come on, children. What, children? If you don't know this, how will you write the examination? What is the standard time? What is the difference between GMT and this one? Can anyone tell me?
5 hours 30 minutes.
Very good. That means we have to add, we have to minus. When we are going abroad, we add or we minus. Oh, come on.
We add.
We add, yes, we add. And then we move on. Okay. And which is the standard meridian of India? Can you tell me which latitude is taken as the standard meridian? I told place, but I want the latitude.
Standard meridian, ma'am.
Yes.
37.
Good.
Okay.
82 degrees 30 minutes east is taken as a standard meridian which passes through Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. That is the standard meridian of the country. These are the things you should know, children. About India, we should know everything properly. Perfectly, you should know when you are talking about all this. Okay, coming back to the thorn forest and the scrubs. Okay, so I said, where do we find this thorn forest? Wherever the rainfall is less than 70 centimeters. And what is the vegetation? What is the characteristic feature of the vegetation of this particular type of forest is thorny trees and bushes. These are all the characteristic features. Evergreen forests, they are evergreen and they are luxuriant. These are keywords, we call it as luxuriant vegetation. They appear green throughout the year. Moist deciduous forest, dry deciduous forest, there is a little difference over there. But when we come to thorn forest, what is the vegetation? It is totally thorny forest, thorny trees and the bushes as such. So where do we find this type of vegetation? In northwestern part of the country, that is Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana. These are certain areas which will be covering in the northwestern part of the country as such. So what are the important trees that you can find here? Acacia, palms, cacti are the main important plants. Mainly cactus is the main plant of this particular thing. And what is it? How do the trees appear here? The trees are scattered. That means you don't find a total bushy type. The trees are placed at different places and they have very long roots. Why do they have long roots? What is the reason for that? So that they penetrate deep into the soil to get the moisture so that they don't become dry. That is the reason why they have long roots, which is not a characteristic feature of either the evergreen forest or the deciduous forest. Am I clear? Yeah, because the stems will try to absorb the water and conserve the water for a longer period of time. That means they absorb the water and they try to retain the water so that they will not become dry. And the leaves are mostly thick. Naturally, I told you they are very thick. You must have seen the cactus leaf. It is very thick, having the thorns. The thorns are there in order to conserve the water and hold the water and minimize evaporation, because it is very dry. They have to withstand the evaporation as such. And this is the reason why they are called as a thorn forest or the shrubs. Now, what are the important animals that are found here? Are rats, mice, rabbits, fox, wolf, tiger, lion, horses, camels. Most important are camels here. So you find rabbits, you find wolves, you find camels also. Camel is considered to be the, what is the name given to camel?
Ma'am, it's
What is it called as?
Tip of the desert.
Very good. It is called as the ship of the desert. That means without that, you cannot have any other transportation over there. Camel is the only transportation over there. That's what is called as the ship of the desert as such. So these are the things you have to, especially you have to learn about the feature of the tree. How do the trees appear in thorny forest? Can anyone tell me the point just now I told you? What is the main feature of the trees of this scrub forest? They are scattered. They have long roots. They penetrate into the deep soil. Why do they penetrate into the deep soil? To get the moisture. To get the moisture and retain the moisture so that they will be protecting themselves from minimizing.
So, ma'am, shall we rejoin or?
No, I'll stop here then. Okay. Next week I'll continue with the other things as such. Okay. Till here, is it okay, students? Yeah, only little. So next week we will be doing about the national parks, bioreserves, wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, that part we will do again.
Get ready with your presentations, children, tomorrow. After after Malyadri Garu's class, we will have the presentations. Okay. Any doubts here? You can put up your doubts in the group also. Ma'am is also added in the group. Okay.